10 things you must do before 2026, life has a way of whispering to us long before it begins to shout. It nudges us, taps our shoulders, gives us quiet signals that change is coming, that a new season is on the horizon, that old ways can no longer carry us into the future we are meant to step into. And now, as the world moves toward 2026 with a pace swifter than our expectations, you are being asked, not gently but firmly, to rise into the person you have long postponed becoming. The passing years do not wait for a hesitant soul. They sweep forward. And if you do not walk with them, you risk being left behind by the very life that belongs to you. You stand in a rare moment, a doorway between who you were and who you must become. And before 2026 arrives, there are things you must do, not because the world demands them, but because your spirit requires them. Growth is not a hobby. Transformation is not entertainment. This is the work of honoring the breath inside you. This is the work of stepping into your own becoming. If you wish to change your life forever, then listen closely, because the journey ahead is calling you with a voice too true to ignore. The first task you must take on is learning to stop running from yourself. For too many years, you have moved through life avoiding the hard questions, distracting your mind with noise, filling your days with tasks that do nothing but keep you from hearing your own truth. But life expands only when you face the mirror without trembling. Sit with your thoughts. Ask yourself what you truly want, what wounds still ache, what dreams still call your name, even after you tried to forget them. Sit with the version of yourself you have hidden under fear and expectation. Sit until the discomfort turns into clarity, and the clarity turns into direction. When you stop running from yourself, you stop giving away your power. And Mother of Mercy, what a power it is when you finally claim it. Next, you must forgive the past, not because the past was gentle, but because your heart deserves to walk unchained. Forgiveness is not a gift for those who hurt you. It is a release for your own spirit. You cannot walk into 2026 carrying the heavy bags of old betrayals, disappointments, and heartbreaks. They weigh you down more than you admit. They slow your stride. They dim your light. Forgiveness is the art of saying, "What happened no longer owns me." It is the door you walk through when you are ready to be free. And freedom, my dear, is the soil where new life grows. You must also learn the discipline of loving yourself with sincerity, not through empty affirmations or half-hearted compliments, but through action, through boundaries, through rest, through investment, through truth. Love yourself by refusing to beg for the kind of affection you know you deserve. Love yourself by removing yourself from people who take more than they give. Love yourself by speaking kinder words to your own reflection, by honoring your needs without apology, by recognizing that you belong here just as much as anyone else. The world will try to convince you that self-love is selfish. Do not believe it. Self-love is how you teach the world to treat you. Before 2026 comes rushing in, you must learn to let go of what is breaking you. Not everything you hold is meant to be kept. Some connections are meant only for a season, some habits for a chapter, some dreams for an earlier version of you who no longer exists. Letting go is not an act of weakness. It is the courage to trust that life has more for you than what you are clinging to. Release what drains you. Release what confuses you. Release what keeps you small. There is no transformation without shedding. A butterfly does not bloom by holding onto the cocoon. You must also confront your fears. Not push them away, not pretend they don't exist, but look them in the eye and walk through them. Fear has stopped you from becoming so much more than you realize. It has kept your voice quiet, your dreams delayed, your potential dimmed. But fear, when faced, loses its authority. It shrinks. It softens. It becomes nothing more than a shadow with no weight. Take fear by the hand and walk forward anyway. Your courage does not need to roar. It only needs to move. Another thing you must do is surround yourself with people who honor your growth. You cannot rise while staying in the company of those committed to sinking. Choose people who speak life into your dreams, who challenge your excuses, who clap for your victories even when their own lives feel heavy. Choose people who want to see you win. If your circle is filled with doubt, jealousy, gossip, or disrespect, then you are standing in the wrong circle. You owe it to yourself to stand among those who see your worth even on the days you forget it. You must learn to speak your truth. You have swallowed your voice too many times to keep the peace, to avoid upsetting others, to prevent conflict. But every time you silence yourself, you tear off a piece of your own dignity. Speak honestly. Speak bravely. Speak with the kind of clarity that does not ask for permission. Your truth may shake some rooms, but it will build others. Do not betray yourself to please those who benefit from your silence. Before 2026 arrives, take responsibility for your life. Your future does not belong to your excuses, your circumstances, your past, or the limits others have placed upon you. It belongs to your choices. You are no longer a passenger in your story. You are the author now. Write with intention. Write with courage. Write with vision. Every day is a page. And the pen has always been in your hand, even when you thought it wasn't. You must also chase the dream that has lived inside you far too long without sunlight. The one you keep postponing because you believe you are not ready, not worthy, or not capable. But dreams do not wait forever. They wither when ignored. They fade when doubted. Before 2026, choose one dream, just one, and give it your full devotion. Not your leftovers, not your spare time. Give it your consistency, your effort, your faith. Your dream deserves to breathe, and you deserve to know what it feels like to pursue something with your whole heart. And above everything else, you must choose gratitude. Not a shallow kind, not the forced kind, but the kind that recognizes that every moment, every breath, every challenge, and every blessing is a part of your becoming. Gratitude transforms perspective. It turns obstacles into teachers, wounds into wisdom, and endings into beginnings. When you learn to be grateful, even for the soil that felt too heavy to carry, life opens itself to you in ways you never imagined. Gratitude is the doorway through which abundance quietly enters. As you move toward 2026, understand this transformation is not for the faint of heart. It will demand honesty. It will demand discipline. It will demand letting go of comforts you have outgrown. It will ask you to rise when it is easier to shrink. It will push you to become someone you have not yet met, someone stronger, wiser, softer, louder, braver, clearer. But that someone is already inside you, waiting for the moment you finally say yes. Say yes to yourself. Say yes to change. Say yes to the life that has been calling your name long before you had the courage to answer. Say yes before 2026 arrives. Because if you do, the life that unfolds on the other side will not just change your days, it will change your destiny. It will shape you into the person you were always meant to be. It will turn your pain into power, your fear into strength, your hesitation into momentum. And when you look back years from now, you will see that everything shifted the moment you decided to become the fullest, most unapologetic version of yourself. This is your moment. The door is open. The year approaches, and your life is waiting for you to rise. Building habits that match the life you pray for begins with the understanding that desire alone cannot transform you. Wanting a better life does not build one. Hoping for change does not create it. Whispering your dreams into the night does not replace the work your days must hold. The life you pray for requires hands, feet, discipline, and devotion. It requires choices that align with the future you envision rather than the comfort you cling to. And every habit you repeat is a quiet vote for the person you are becoming. A person is not shaped by occasional inspiration, but by consistent action. The dream you want will not rise out of the air. It will rise out of the rituals you honor each morning and each night. People often speak of wanting peace, but their habits invite chaos. They pray for confidence, but their habits reflect doubt. They desire success, but their habits are built on procrastination, distraction, and excuses. They hope for strong relationships, but their habits are rooted in fear, silence, or emotional unavailability. They pray for growth, but cling to routines that keep them stagnant. What many people fail to see is that habits are not small acts. They are spiritual contracts you sign with your future. Every choice you repeat becomes a brick in the foundation of your destiny. To build habits that match the life you pray for, you must begin by imagining the version of yourself who already lives that life. Picture them clearly. How do they move? What time do they wake up? How do they speak to themselves? How do they treat their body? How do they react to challenges? How much effort do they give to their dreams? Then ask yourself with courage, which of your current habits match that version of you, and which habits betray it? The truth will not always be gentle, but it will guide you toward transformation. You cannot walk toward a better future while dragging the weight of old routines that no longer serve you. You must become intentional with your actions. A habit forms not from intensity, but from consistency. A single workout does not shape a strong body. A single day of reading does not build a wise mind. A single moment of discipline does not create a focused life. But repeating them over and over carves a new identity. The life you pray for is waiting for the habits that support it, and the discipline you avoid is the bridge between where you stand and where you wish to go. To build aligned habits, start with small changes. Many people fail to transform because they try to overhaul everything at once, burning themselves out before their new habits have a chance to take root. Small steps, consistent and honest, are more powerful than grand gestures born in a moment of motivation. Wake up 15 minutes earlier, not 2 hours. Read 2 pages, not 20. Begin a 5-minute meditation instead of aiming for an impossible hour. Small shifts may feel insignificant, but they rewire your identity, and identity determines destiny. When you prove to yourself that you can keep one small promise, you build the confidence to keep bigger ones. Your environment must also support your habits. You cannot pray for growth while surrounding yourself with people or routines that suffocate it. The people in your life influence your habits more than your willpower does. If your circle encourages your weaknesses will grow. If your environment is filled with noise, you will struggle to hear your vision. If your everyday spaces reflect clutter, confusion, or distraction, your mind will mirror the same. Shape your environment so it nudges you toward your goals instead of pulling you away from them. Place reminders of your dreams where you can see them. Remove temptations that steal your focus. Create spaces where discipline becomes natural rather than forced. Building habits that align with your prayer also requires accountability. You must hold yourself to a higher standard than the one you have lived by. You must stop breaking promises to yourself. Every time you say, "I will do this," and then abandon it, you teach your spirit that your word means nothing. But when you follow through, especially when you don't feel like it, you build inner strength. You learn discipline. You develop trust in your own decisions. And that trust is necessary, because achieving the life you pray for will require you to believe deeply in your ability to create change. Your habits must also reflect emotional alignment. You cannot pray for clarity while feeding your mind chaos. You cannot pray for healthy love while repeating patterns born from old wounds. You cannot pray for joy and then nurture bitterness through comparison or resentment. Emotional habits are just as powerful as physical ones. Practice gratitude even when life is heavy. Practice honesty even when silence is easier. Practice patience even when your spirit is restless. Practice self-respect even when your confidence wavers. These emotional habits strengthen your spirit in a way nothing else can. You must also learn to detach from the habits that comfort your pain but poison your future. The scrolling, the distractions, the numbing behaviors, the relationships that hold you back, the thoughts that keep you small. These habits masquerade as relief, but they steal the very life you pray for. Letting go of them will feel uncomfortable at first, because your old self wants to survive. It wants to cling to the familiar. But the familiar is the very thing preventing your transformation. Release it with intention, not with shame. You are not abandoning who you were. You are rising into who you must become. There will be days when you feel strong and days when every habit feels like a heavy stone. On those days, remember your why. Remember that habits are not meant to make you perfect. They are meant to help you grow. They are the quiet steps that take you from wishing to becoming. The life you pray for needs you to keep going even when the progress is invisible. Seeds grow in silence. Transformations happen quietly before they are seen. Trust the unseen progress of your consistent effort. And understand this deeply. You do not rise into the life you pray for by accident. You rise because you choose the habits that carry you there. You rise because you refuse to stay the same. You rise because every day you choose the version of yourself that aligns with your highest vision rather than your lowest excuses. Each habit is a vote for your future, and with every vote, you shape the person you will become. Gratitude as your daily compass for abundance begins with understanding that abundance is not something you chase. It is something you align yourself with. It is not a prize granted to the lucky, nor a blessing reserved for a chosen few. It is a state of awareness, a shift in perception, a way of seeing the world that transforms what you have into more than enough. When you use gratitude as your compass, you learn to recognize the richness that already surrounds you, and in doing so, you open the door for more to arrive. Gratitude is not passive, it is powerful. It is a force that rearranges your internal landscape until even the smallest moments become stepping stones toward a fuller life. People often misunderstand gratitude, thinking it means accepting whatever life hands you without wishing for better. But true gratitude does not silence ambition. It softens the ego while sharpening the vision. It humbles you while expanding your capacity to receive. It grounds you so deeply in the present that your future can unfold on solid, fertile soil. Without gratitude, even blessings can feel empty. Without gratitude, success becomes a chase instead of a celebration. Gratitude cleans the lens through which you see your life, removing the dust of comparison, the fog of scarcity, the shadows of fear. It teaches you to recognize value even when life feels heavy, to appreciate progress even when the journey is long, to find peace even when uncertainty surrounds you. Using gratitude as your compass means beginning each day with awareness instead of autopilot. Too often, people wake up and immediately carry yesterday's worries into today. They step into the morning wearing the weight of old disappointments. Their minds rush toward what is missing, what is wrong, what they fear might happen. But gratitude interrupts that cycle. Gratitude invites you to pause, to breathe, to acknowledge that waking up itself is a gift. That breath is a gift. That another sunrise is an opportunity. When you begin your day with gratitude, you direct your mind toward abundance instead of lack. You train your heart to notice what is present instead of what is absent. You step into the day with clarity and calm rather than panic or pressure. Gratitude is not something you feel only when life is easy. In fact, its greatest power comes when life is difficult. When everything around you feels heavy, gratitude becomes the anchor that keeps you from drifting into despair. It reminds you that even pain carries purpose, that even challenges sharpen your spirit, that even endings carve space for beginnings. Gratitude does not require you to pretend that everything is perfect. It simply asks you to acknowledge that even in imperfection, there is meaning. Even in loss, there is wisdom. Even in struggle, there is growth trying to emerge. Gratitude does not erase hardship, but it gives you the strength to rise within it. There is a deep connection between gratitude and abundance that many people overlook. The energy you give attention to multiplies. When you focus on what you lack, your mind becomes a magnet for scarcity. When you dwell on what others have that you do not, resentment grows. When you believe that blessings are limited, fear takes root. But when you focus on what you have, the universe reveals more of it. When you appreciate the small, the large begins to find you. When you speak thanks for what has yet to come, you create space for it to arrive. Gratitude aligns your spirit with the frequency of abundance. It shifts your energy from wanting to receiving, from grasping to welcoming. To make gratitude your compass, you must practice it not just in thought but in action. Gratitude is not merely a list of things you say you are thankful for, but a way of living. It influences how you speak, how you walk, how you treat others, how you respond to challenges. Gratitude shapes the tone of your voice. It softens your judgments. It humbles your arrogance. It deepens your compassion. People who live with gratitude carry a certain light around them. They are not untouched by pain, but they refuse to let bitterness take root. They are not free of challenges, but they walk through them with a steadiness that inspires others. Gratitude becomes their posture, their presence, their language. When you use gratitude as your compass, you stop comparing your journey to anyone else's. Comparison is the thief that steals joy from the heart and blinds the spirit to its own blessings. Gratitude returns your eyes to your own path. It reminds you that your timing is your own, that your growth is unfolding exactly as it should, that your blessings may look different from someone else's but are no less meaningful. Gratitude dissolves envy, because it teaches you to celebrate the good in your life without diminishing the good in someone else's. It allows you to admire others without doubting yourself. It frees your heart from the belief that someone else's success is your loss. Making gratitude your compass also means honoring the progress you overlook. Many people are so focused on how far they still have to go that they forget to acknowledge how far they have already come. They forget the battles they survived, the lessons they learned, the resilience they built. They forget the nights they cried and the mornings they rose anyway. They forget the mistakes that became wisdom, the setbacks that turned into stepping stones, the heartbreaks that taught them strength. Gratitude invites you to turn around and say, "I am proud of the person I am becoming." It invites you to see your journey not as a series of failures and triumphs, but as a masterpiece unfolding in its own time. Gratitude also teaches you patience. Abundance does not always arrive quickly. Dreams take time to mature. Blessings take time to bloom. Healing takes time to settle. But gratitude reminds you that even the waiting is part of the process. It prevents you from rushing what needs time, from forcing what needs faith, from demanding what needs growth. Gratitude allows you to breathe through seasons of uncertainty, trusting that what is meant for you is making its way toward you, even if you cannot yet see it. Gratitude teaches you that delay is not denial, and that preparation often precedes blessing. To walk with gratitude is to see beauty in the ordinary. The world moves fast, and in its speed, it becomes easy to overlook the simple things that sustain your spirit. The warmth of a cup in your hands, the softness of a blanket, the sound of someone calling your name with affection, the way sunlight spills through a window, the moments of laughter that lighten heavy days. These are not small things. They are quiet blessings, the kind that gratitude reveals. When you notice them, when you honor them, you begin to see that abundance has been living with you long before you ever ask for it. Gratitude also shapes how you treat others. When you appreciate the people in your life, you love them more deeply. You communicate more clearly. You forgive more quickly. You listen more genuinely. Gratitude strengthens relationships because it teaches you to value connection instead of taking it for granted. It reminds you that the presence of someone who cares for you is not a guarantee, but a gift. It encourages you to express appreciation, to offer kindness, to show up with intention. A grateful heart creates warmth in relationships that no amount of effort can replicate without sincerity. Gratitude influences your self-worth as well. When you appreciate what you carry inside you, the talents, the resilience, the intuition, the compassion, you stop searching for validation from people who cannot see your worth. You begin to recognize that your existence itself is meaningful. You stop measuring your value by external achievements and start honoring the quiet strengths that cannot be seen but can always be felt. Gratitude teaches you to celebrate who you are instead of criticizing who you are not. To live with gratitude as your compass is to shift from survival to purpose. It is to stop bracing yourself against life and start participating in it. It is to move from reacting to creating, from scarcity to sufficiency, from fear to faith. Gratitude builds inner abundance long before external abundance arrives. And when the external abundance does come, gratitude ensures that you are grounded enough to hold it. Without gratitude, blessings can overwhelm you, success can distort you, and abundance can pass through your hands like water. But with gratitude, you are prepared to receive fully and responsibly. Gratitude also strengthens your resilience. When you learn to appreciate even the lessons that came wrapped in difficulty, you stop avoiding challenges. You begin to understand that every hardship carries a hidden offering, that every setback carries preparation for what comes next. Gratitude teaches you to endure without losing heart, to trust without controlling, to rise without resenting the fall. It gives you the emotional maturity to face life with open eyes instead of defensiveness. Gratitude does not remove storms, but it gives you shelter while teaching you how to build stronger walls. And as gratitude becomes your daily compass, abundance becomes your natural state. Not just financial abundance, but emotional abundance, spiritual abundance, relational abundance. You begin to feel full instead of empty. You begin to feel guided instead of lost. You begin to feel supported instead of alone. Gratitude shifts your inner world until your outer world begins to reflect your internal expansion. The more you appreciate, the more life reveals to you. The more you give thanks, the more reasons you find to give thanks for. The more you honor what you have, the more aligned you become with the blessings that await you. Gratitude is not a destination. It is a daily choice, a daily practice, a daily awakening. It is the compass that shifts your direction toward a life richer, deeper, fuller, and more abundant than anything you imagined when you were living from scarcity instead of appreciation.